Welcome to Happiness with Hema, and today's topic is very interesting.
The future of education beyond books, beyond classrooms, building better humans. Nature, empathy, curiosity, purpose, a new way of learning.
What if we have schools which are going to inculcate and cultivate love for learning beyond books, raising compassionate leaders? Can nature teach better than classrooms? The future of education, no pressure, more purpose. We'll be meeting a founder of Empathy School, where children comes before any curriculum.
Let's welcome today's guest, Eric Gonzalez, founder of Empathy School International Bali, Harvard graduate, Masters of Education. What makes his journey truly inspired isn't where he studied, but it is what he is choosing to build today.
Let's dive into this fascinating conversation and discover why families around the world are beginning to rethink what education can truly be. And today we are meeting Eric, who's turning this idea into reality. He's Harvard graduate, a Master of Education, and the founder of Empathy School International at Bali. Initially, he started this as a camp, conducting camps all over the world, but now it is turning as a moment. So now he is expanding and scaling to other countries also. If you're a parent who's looking for this such beautiful concept of school, this podcast is for you. So stay tuned till the end. If you're somebody new to my YouTube channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned till the end for the full conversation. Let's join in. Morning, Eric. How are you?
Hope you can hear me well this time.
Yes, I can hear you better. Can you hear me better?
Very well, no problem.
Okay. So yes, so here is Eric with us. He's our guest today, and he's Harvard graduate, guys, and is also master degree holder, and is the founder of Empathy School, which is a very unique concept. And that's what we are going to talk about, because you know how I'm very passionate about holistic lifestyle, wellness, of course, soil health. So their education is also something very holistic. Yeah. So that's what fascinated me to invite Eric. So Eric, would you like to give a little introduction before we start with the question round?
Sure. Well, my name is Eric. So I've been living in, I think, Indonesia for about the last 7 years, working on the Empathy School concept. And before that, I was already in Asia working on the same concept, because ultimately, right, education, just like nature, just like your garden, right? It doesn't start at the top; it starts at the bottom. It starts with the soil, and the way we really connect it is the internal health of the child. So, what does empathy mean? I'll quickly break it down. The easiest way to understand it is empathy. You first have empathy for yourself, because when you know yourself, you can achieve anything. Then after that, an empathy for the other, so you can communicate. And finally, an empathy for all of society, because society is a bit hard to understand. So when we can empathize with it, it makes our life a lot easier.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yes, we'll come to that in detail in coming questions. Beautiful. I think absolutely it starts from the basics, yeah, and that's what I think holistic growth. You know, it happens. So Eric, I have to start with here. You have had a Harvard degree, probably endless opportunities, corporate job opportunities, and career. Most people normally join after doing that. So what you have done something different. So your life took you to building Empathy School. So what happened? So was there one moment or one child or some circumstance or situation or one heartbreak? Could you share your journey from studying to Harvard School and earning your master's degree in education to being a founder of Empathy School?
So that's a great question. So when I was much younger,
Mhm.
I was a teacher. I was a teacher in many places. I even taught in refugee camps, right? But then there was many beautiful stories, sad stories, loving stories, and all of these things inspired me. But that really, it was something else. So in 2011, 12, I made a decision to hitchhike across the world, right? Not everyone knows the story, but I wanted to really see what life was like. So I went to dozens of countries, and I tried to travel with almost no money. I mean, I was in Thailand, I was in India, I was in the Caucasus Mountains, Turkey, Europe, the Americas. And the goal was to really understand humanity. And wow, that's when I really came to understand what empathy was. Because everywhere I went, everywhere, everyone was always so kind, so passionate. You know, we learned to fear the other. But honestly, there was no threat to me while I was traveling, and it was so, so beautiful. And then, because I was already a teacher, while I was traveling, in every country I asked the same question: how was the education system? And in every country, the answer was the same: it's broken, right? And when you travel dozens of countries, and everyone from the rich to the poor to the urban to the rural tells you the education system is broken, I mean, I was already a teacher, so as a teacher, you know it's broken. You see it's broken every day. But the realism, how broken it is. And then I said, okay, then for my kids, I need to build something that is evidence-based. I need to really support my kids to learn. And where do we start learning? We can always start with math. We can always start with English. But if we really go to the core, then when we start teaching our kids, helping our kids grow, it's none of those. It's actually the internal reflection. It's the empathy for oneself and then others.
Wow. So yes, I totally resonate with you because even I am from the education background, and I think education system is broken. We really need a big fix. Yeah, with the time ahead, we really need that. And beautiful. I think you started this initiative with one of your friends, or you were doing it all alone. This
So,
traveling to the world.
oh, no, the traveling, it was alone, and it was also with friends. You know, sometimes by myself, sometimes with different friends in different areas as we travel, hitchhike, and knock on doors and say, hello, we're new here. Can we stay with you?
Oh, wow. Wow. So, well, so that that must have been a beautiful experience. Would you like to share some good incident which have really, knocked you and said, yes, I
Oh,
think, yeah, any incident.
well, there's just thousands and thousands of incidences, little ones and big ones, talking to people, and just it's not always about the single one. It's about the connection, the thousand threads that make the garment. You know, when I'm in one city and they explain their culture and their ideas, and there's just so much love of their hometown and the place, and you go to the next one, and you have the exact same thing, and you start to realize that we are one humanity, we are
We
one
are similar.
experience.
Yes.
And it was just constantly always full of kindness, of support. I'll give you a really funny one. So as I travel all around, eventually I'm in China, and I get a TV crew to go with me, right? Because they don't believe me. And I'm not joking. This is really serious. We go to the house, right? And the TV crew wants something funny, but I go knock on the door. I don't speak much Chinese. He doesn't speak English. And I ask him if I can stay with him, and he actually says yes, right? Like no prompting, no meeting before. And it just surprises the team. The team wants to redo it to make it funnier, but still, the point is that people are full of kindness and love, and I really want to make sure that everyone understands that.
Beautiful. I also believe, because, you attract like-minded people. So if you are full of, that empathy, you will attract those kind of people only. And world is full of that. I totally, I'm very positive regards to that yes, world is beautiful, and you only have to just unlock it, open it and
Yeah.
reach out. Very well done. Okay, so would empathy school look exactly like you have built, and what inspired you to create this empathy school, and what probably in today's education system were you trying to solve?
That's a good question. So there's several things with that. So the real goal of education in general should be, let's follow the science of how kids learn. What allows kids to learn? What does not? In general, right?
Yeah.
Well, walls don't necessarily help, right? So what does and what hurts? Well, actually, low quality light hurts, right? There's study after study that shows when you're in natural light, you pay more attention, you focus more. The same thing when you have more greenery, you focus more. When you have less noise, you focus more. So there are just so many aspects to learning, and the evidence is very clear. So it's really about building a system that embodies all of the research of learning. And you know what? With young kids, the research is also very clear. if you want your kids to be geniuses, if you want them to be creative, you put them in an environment that does not scare them away from being creative, but encourage them to be creative. And nature, there is no better host.
Better, yes. Oh, yes, I totally agree because when you are connected to the nature, you are connected to your true being, and you will thrive. Yeah, it's just like the seed. If seed is in a proper, given a nice conditions, it
Mhm.
will grow like a beautiful tree, or else it will just. So, can empathy actually be taught? Your school name itself is so powerful, empathy school. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but empathy isn't a subject, right? It is feeling,
Yep.
and we cannot teach kids like in a chapter one, it's love.
Mhm.
Chapter two is kindness. Yeah. so,
Yeah.
so there's no textbook called such. So, how do you actually teach something that cannot be memorized?
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
that's a
can
good
you
answer.
share one beautiful story where a child completely surprised you
Oh, yeah.
and made you think, yes, this is exactly this school is about?
Yes. So, I met another child when this child was about 5 years old, and my son was also five. This was at a different school. And before I created empathy, and maybe even 4 years old, and this other child, it's his end of the school day. He comes up to my son and he pushes him from behind. Oof, pretty
Mm,
extreme, right? And I
yeah.
asked him right there because my son wasn't very happy about that. Like, why did you make the decision to push him from behind? And the
Mm,
answer, remember, little kids are not normally malicious, right? His
mm,
answer was very human. I wanted to play. I
yeah.
thought he would enjoy this playing. So
Mm,
immediately I understand that this child doesn't have a high level of emotional intelligence towards that of other people at this moment in time. Well,
mm,
when he joined my school, there was a little bit of fear, right?
mm,
Some people, yes, they labeled him as bully. Not that he was a bully, but
mm,
specifically that he did not know how to interact with kids. So, of course,
mm,
that meant that we had to teach him both intrinsically and extrinsically how to connect to other kids. And for
mm,
him, a lot of it was learning to ask, hey, I want to play with you. What kind of game would you like to play? To be clear, no one
mm,
likes to play the game to be pushed from behind. No one likes that game.
mm,
But when he started asking people, of course they want to play with him, but he would ask them, they would set boundaries. And after about 3 or 4 years, it was really funny. So one day there's a tour, right?
mm,
And he's supporting me on this tour, and this other person, it's hilarious. They're like, wow, it must be so easy to run a school and you have kids like this in this. It's like,
mm.
wow,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So this
That's a.
kid had been labeled as a
Mm,
bully, and then suddenly, he is seen as the ideal child, and that
mm,
can happen. And it's not that difficult. But you talked about even how to teach it.
mm,
Empathy can be taught in the school, at home, anywhere. It's very internalized. So you have the intrinsic and the extrinsic way of doing it. Now, many people do the intrinsic way, and that's great, right? And I 100% support it. And I really hope teachers at school have the time to really get into it. But you
mm,
can teach it extrinsically. You can explain to kids or to fellow adults, boundaries, right? Whenever someone does this, you're welcome to tell them, I'm going to set a boundary. Even this little thing most adults do not do. But
mm,
in fact, I would suggest probably almost all humans listening do need to learn how to set boundaries. So there's a
yeah.
whole course on how to set boundaries. And I got to be very honest, so much easier to teach kids to set boundaries than adults. Once
Ah,
adults,
absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah.
we adults, we like to get stuck in our ways. I think it's the ego.
Mm,
We like to say, hey, I don't want to change. I'm already good
mm,
enough. And you are good
yes.
enough, but we're also always able to change, always able to grow.
Yes, there's always a scope of improvement. People if think that I know it all because as you adult, you got conditioned with so many things, and you feel that oh, I know the best. So that is the dangerous part. But kids, I think, other hand, they're ready to. They're like a sponges. If you teach them something new and they feel yes, this is good, they are ready to catch immediately, right?
Very,
Wow. So that's a beautiful thing. And I think absolutely, I believe that, empathy is being like, and especially Eric, as you told, naughty kids or hyperactive kids, it's only as a teacher, if we give them a right environment,
mhm,
engage them properly, they'll be the most they will be the most productive, because with
Absolutely.
my experience also, I've seen
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay, let's move to the next one, the parents' mindset
Mhm.
shift. So imagine I'm a parent and I have spent my whole life believing that success means good grades, prestigious universities, stable career. So now someone tell me, send your child to a nature school. Yeah. So honestly, today's parents will panic, right? They will say, what is that? So what is the biggest myth parents have regarding this alternative education? And how do children learn in empathy school? Could you share a few examples
So that's a
of
really
your
great.
teaching? Yeah, of your
Yeah.
teaching methods and how empathy and nature are integrated
Yeah.
into everyday learning.
Yes. So there's a lot of answers to that, really a lot of them. So first, I will let you know that many, many, many of the adults I talk to, when they talk about their experience in education, they often say they didn't like it, right? Either
Mhm.
they were confused, they were bored, or just it wasn't really that enjoyable. The thing is, and the studies, there's extremely clear studies on this, and
Mm.
if you love learning, you will keep learning. And if you keep learning, there will be a much, much better outcome, right? The brain of an 18-year-old, of a 16-year-old, it's going to run faster than our brains. That's just, there's more processing power. The difference
Absolutely.
is, between 18 and 30 and 40 and 50, if you choose to keep learning, you end up with more information. It's not about where you've started, it's about where you end up.
Yeah.
And so the next really important thing is actually the studies are also very clear that emotional intelligence and creativity lead to better outcomes. If you're worried about your kids making money, actually go look at the studies. Emotional intelligence leads to higher outcome than any other option. In fact, so
Mm.
exams are important. I'm not anti-exam. Yes, do good math, do good in English, right? But those are check marks, right?
Mm.
If you want to thrive, if you want to succeed, you must do
Mm.
more. Over at Harvard, there's a professor. He's the grandfather of emotional intelligence, Dr. Goldman. And his material, his book is amazing. One of the pieces of research he does is on management. And if managers are emotionally intelligent, do they do better?
Yeah.
Do they make more money for the company? That's simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes. The answer is when you have a higher level of emotional intelligence, you're more likely to succeed in everything. But that also goes back to what you said earlier. Remember earlier you said, if you believe the world is kind, you will find the kindness. So
Mm.
that also goes to another professor over at Harvard. I want to share her story. So that's Dr. Langer. Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing woman. She teaches mindfulness in the psychology department, or perhaps did previously.
Yeah.
And the way she looks at the world is whatever you decide to look for, you will find. Right? We are a mindless creature. We follow what the horde tells us. We follow what we've been taught. But when we look critically at things, we realize that pretty much nothing is what we imagine if we are fully mindful. So
Absolutely.
if we believe the world is wonderful, then we will find endless wonderful things to find. Right? And our life will be better and we will become more successful.
Yes.
So when it comes to education, I understand that parents are so anxious, right? But study
Mm.
after study after study shows that when we learn emotional intelligence, right, that there's better outcomes. When we're in nature, there's better outcomes. When we have the ability to be creative, there's better outcomes. In fact, again, I'm not anti-English, I'm not anti-math. My kids are doing very well in both of them, right? The thing is, the reason they do well in them is because we build the foundation. So
Mm.
if you believe in yourself, all right, I'll give you an example. You're 3 years old. You should not
Yeah.
be learning math. You should be learning to love math, right? In other words, we're
Yes.
doing fun activities. Let's go count the flowers, one, two,
Yeah.
five. It's not about saying, no, you're wrong. It's about, wow, you really had fun counting those flowers, right? Why don't we
Yeah.
make them into a necklace and give them to mommy, right?
Yes.
So then what ends up happening is this kid has this attachment that he loves it. I remember, again, when my son was maybe 3 or 4, he comes to me and he says, Daddy, I love studying. And I'm like,
That's the best.
so he's conditioning himself, right? And,
Mhm.
we're humans. We're full of conditioning. It's that simple,
Mhm.
right? But he is conditioning himself to love this concept of studying, which is
Mhm.
his life is going to be full of it anyway.
Yeah.
And when you believe this at an early age, life is wonderful. But he associated study with all these fun things, and he still does. He loves math workbooks. Math is not a chore. Math is not a homework. He's like, yeah, math, math, math.
Yes.
You don't get to that if you're just being forced to do it, right? You don't learn activities when you're forced. You learn them when you love them. So the
Yes.
real trick is to build this foundation so that you really help people love everything. If they love it, they will succeed. I will tell you this, to every parent who thinks that academics are the only way forward, look around wherever you are. I'm in Singapore right now. Look around at how many people have broken hearts, how many people were not following their passions. The fire inside of them is gone. It's gone because of the system.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be gone. Every single one of us is amazing. Every one of us can have a fire inside of us that roars.
Yes.
But if we put it out, and the system does it, unfortunately, the study after study after study shows that the system puts out the fire. There's a, I believe, 1960 study originally from NASA. It started out in kindergarten looking at everyone, and it determined in kindergarten everyone was a genius. They're creative. They're coming up with amazing suggestions. By the time they left high school, something like 3% were still geniuses. And after that, those guys stayed geniuses. So the conclusion, schools stole genius from them, right? Every single human you meet is capable of achieving greatness, every one of them. The thing is, if the fire inside of them is put out, it's going to be very hard to achieve. The system must exist to ignite that flame and keep it burning forever. And the easiest way to do that is to teach them to understand themselves, understand others, understand society. And of course, being in nature is probably a cheat mode because it's a very relaxing in way. I mean,
absolutely, yes.
You know this, just being in nature just relaxes you. But if you guys are in a cubicle, there's a really funny study that says, sure, having plants in your office helps, but even painting your cubicle green reduces your stress. It's that simple. We love nature so much that even green paint will reduce our stress level.
Yes, I can see people commenting empathy is so important and much needed. Definitely. Eric, as you said now, even this is my philosophy also as being an educator, that love for learning is the very important foundation. If anyone, any human, any boy or girl in a childhood, itself, they start learning to learn, they start loving to learn, I think they are set to be a beautiful human being because they'll be learning for life. Because there's a lot to learn, right? Every time, every day, from the society, from the environment around. There's a lot to learn. So if you in the base, when the kids are very small, little, and we install this habit of love for learning, I think it's a bigger thing. And nature, when they are around the nature, this happen automatically. It happens by itself. So beautiful. I think we aligned in that very much. Now, moving to the next session, that is the future is already here. AI is writing essays and Google answering questions, and robots are becoming smarter day by day, right? So if knowledge is now available in every pocket, then what becomes the real purpose of school? I'm just wanting to know your point of view. What skill do children need that even artificial intelligence can never replace?
Yeah.
And what skill do you believe children need most for the future? And how does Empathy School helps developing those skills?
That is a great question. So you're right. AI is here. And honestly, it can write essays better than I can, right? It is amazing in many ways. So the current education system was really designed, and you can look into the research, it was designed to produce factory workers, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of skills that it does create that are not necessarily good for the modern times. It does create unnecessary obedience. Just, follow the leader, don't think for yourself. This is something literally taught in the current school system, right? I'll give you a quick example. Lining up for class. Yes, if you're 2 years old, it's a lot more difficult. But if you're 8 years old, why are we still lining up? Reasonably, kids should have an expectation to go from class to class, to be kind, to be polite. There should be an expectation. But we still treat them like little army soldiers. Why? Because this goes back to this factory mentality, the soldier mentality. And the research, again, the current education system originally came about in what's modern Germany to produce unified level of soldiers 120 years ago, 140 years
Wow.
ago. They evolved from there. But again, a lot of it's not based on research, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, with AI coming out, and again, there are pre-COVID, pre-AI studies that show, again, emotional intelligence leads to higher income, leads to happier life, then, perfect scores, right? So we already had before AI this evidence. And the thing is, it's only coming more and more and more. AI right now is still bad at empathy. It can be pretty hilarious sometimes when you ask it to empathize. Just be careful. Um,
Yeah.
but this ability to connect to other humans, right? It is incredibly important ability that unfortunately many people do not have. But also, again, to connect to yourself. Everyone listening, you can go create any kind of business you want. You can make any change of the world you want. But
Yeah.
to want it, you must believe in yourself. So it is an internal compass. In fact, if you look at all the self-help gurus over the last 100 years, you're going to find the exact same story that I'm just saying
Yeah.
right there. Love yourself, understand yourself.
Yes.
So this becomes more important than ever.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Beautiful. So definitely, I think AI is there, but human touch is always going to be superior and needed for the humans, right?
Well, I'll tell you a fear of mine. I do believe education will go in two directions. We will have more nature schools, schools outdoors, schools that support creativity and empathy, and then we will probably have more robotic schools, schools that utilize AI as much as possible to make
Yeah,
education as cheap as possible. There will
yeah.
be cost to both.
Mm. But I think nature schools are the future. I totally believe in this, wellness centers or nature school, because as I said, human touch is needed. That's the purpose of everybody, to connect with the other human being. Because when it's only AI, then that is cutted. That is like
Absolutely, absolutely.
you get. Okay, dream bigger than a school. Let's imagine it's a 10-year from now today. And when people hear the word empathy school, what do you hope they will say? Are you building a school, or are you quietly building a moment? What is your long term vision for empathy school?
Great
And what
question.
impact do you hope to create over next 10 years?
Yeah, I love it. Empathy School is not a school; it's a movement. Um, So even today, I'm meeting with more people who are interested in bringing these things into the classroom. So the real question is, how can it be scaled much larger? And
Mhm.
that's why I'm in Singapore, to meet people, to support them, to help them have all the tools they need to support the next generation. So earlier you said, why do this? I could have done so many things, right? Why not go to the corporate world? The answer is very simple. I have one life. I want to change the world. Nothing less, right? Now, I need maybe 1,000 years. I'm sure in my lifetime I can't do much, but at least I can put a few drops in that bucket to change things. So that is the goal. So
Mhm.
my goal is to bring every one of these to the classrooms, to the teachers, so that they can learn and they can implement and they can improve upon anything that has been built before them.
Wow. Yeah, it should be scaled, Eric. So far you have school in Bali only, or anywhere else also?
So it's a great question. So the really fun thing is actually it started with a camp. So we had a camp in Thailand, a camp in China, a camp in
Okay.
these different places. There was a
Okay.
little center in America. So the goal is to really grow it. It doesn't have to be me growing it. I don't expect that I
Every.
will be the one to grow it, but it's the concept, the movement, the goals.
Definitely, I'm with you, because Eric, even I have a dream, and I staying in Singapore from last 15 years. I like the education system, because I was teaching in an IB school. IB school is more like free learning, playway learning, but still, I think the kind of the moment you have started, I think there should be more setups like that, not only in Singapore, not only in the world around, in India, in Asia, in Europe, everywhere. I think more such initiatives, more people passionate about this should be, working towards it. And I've already started working towards, because I'm also creating a space, in India, to create a wellness or not like maybe the same concept which you have already started. So definitely we might collaborate in future. So talking about some rapid fire, you have. So there's some fun rapid fire question. Just don't think much and just give me
Okay. Okay.
spontaneous answers. So one thing every school should permanently throw away.
Ooh, punishment.
Ah,
Not
yes.
discipline. Discipline's important. Punishment is not. It's a law. I can explain it, but I need 10 minutes but for
But
next time.
I totally agree because the people, they will resonate, I think, punishments, because that really stop learning. You know what we were talking, the love for learning stops there when you get punishment, right? Okay. So which teacher is better? Forest, grandmother, or failure?
It's not fair. Can all of them? Because you need all of them. You need every single one of them. Otherwise, you will not have you will not blossom to your full self.
Beautiful answer. I was expecting that from, because that's what I believe in. All of three. Okay, if every world leader had to attend one class in your empathy school, what would you teach first?
How to respect others.
Okay. Yes, I think we need to be a little more empathetical. Although we feel that we know everything and we are respecting and all that, but I think I totally. A child asks, next question. A child asks, why do adults stop playing? What will be your answer?
Say again.
A child will ask you that why adults stop playing.
Oof. Oof. That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I guess the best answer is the adults decided they're no longer kids, but they still are. My
For
belief
it,
is for your first 100 years, you're still a child. And you should keep playing because playing is the best way to learn. But
yes.
we choose. We choose to stop playing. We choose to be so serious that we don't play and we don't have fun. But then life
Yeah.
becomes less enjoyable.
Yes, I totally believe age is just a number. Everyone should make sure they should be like, to keep their inner child alive. So, if you keep playing in the sense you stay connected to the nature, you stay connected to your, roots, you will be always childlike, right?
Always, always, always learning.
Mhm. Okay. If empathy become a global currency, who would be the richest people?
I think empathy is already a global currency. And
It
I
is.
think, yes,
Yes.
and I think the richest people are those who, so to be empathetic, to live empathy is to have a high emotional intelligence. And there's also, I always get into studies, but I'll tell you this other study. There's another study, I believe, from Stanford in the 90s, and it keeps going. And it shows that emotional intelligence is the best predictor of happiness in life. Not only income, but also marriage, friends,
Overall.
self enjoyment. So, quite honestly, and we have this, the richest people are the people who they're full of love for themselves, for their other, for the community. And it's true.
Yeah, definitely. And for that, my answer will be the richest people will be like, the people who are happy and doing whatever they are doing. They're not chasing for happiness. So I think beautiful. Your answer was also resonated with me. Okay. Um, what is harder, teaching children or helping parent unlearn few things?
Unlearn is always harder, infinitely harder.
Yeah.
Infinitely. Oh
Conditioning, yeah.
my God.
That's,
Every one of us is conditioned, and we don't know what we're conditioned with. That's the hard part.
yes. And to reach to that deeper level of, which is very simple actually, to reach to your true happiness, unconditioning is very important. Yeah. Okay, describe school in just 3 words. This is the last.
Describe the school of the future in 3 words, or
Describe empathy school in 3 words.
creativity. So,
Fun.
oh, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Yeah,
Fun.
creativity, fun. That's so important.
Yeah, because I've
Creativity.
seen your page. I've seen your this school page. It was really so fun. Every activity, the kids are like, they are just focused, they are not jumping around, or but they are focused, they are loving it. So fun is definitely
And
and
awareness, or
fairness.
mindfulness, perhaps.
Beautiful. Thank you, Eric. So parents who are watching this live, tell us in comments what is the one thing you wish your school had taught you but never did. So please write in the comment. And Eric, any parting note?
Well, I just please reach out to me, connect to me. I am in Singapore for a while, so I'm glad to meet more people. In fact, directly after this, I'm going to go meet a preschool leader, and we're going to talk about the possibilities of the future.
Beautiful. All my best wishes, and definitely we'll also collaborate. If you have any project in India, I'm always there, because I totally support such movements which you have already started. Yeah. So, Eric, thank you so much for this conversation, and thank you for giving your time. I hope this was very helpful, and thank you for reminding us that education isn't just about making living; it is about learning how to live. Yeah, that's very important. And everyone watching, thank you for your time, and do share this video with your loved ones who have a passion for learning, because this is a very beautiful concept. Everybody should, more people if demand. As a parents, there will be more such places. Okay, thank
Thanks very much.
you.
Until next time.
If your parents looking for some alternative like this, I think this podcast is for you. Don't forget to share this podcast with somebody who's interested for their kid for this kind of a future education, love for learning. Happiness with Hema, from dreams to reality, signing off.